Hey everybody, it's me, Amelia Lady B, and welcome back to my channel, Millennial and Menopause. Today I am going to be talking about grief and the effects of it on menopause. So it's June, and I missed Mental Health Awareness Month, which was last month in May. And I missed it because I was going through my own mental health, I guess I won't say crisis, but my own mental health journey. Um, and I'm still kind of working through my emotions, but I'm able to talk more now about it than I was, of course, last month because it was kind of fresh. So, April 30th, my grandmother transitioned. She was 90 years old. So she lived such a beautiful and full life that the Lord has blessed her with. And I am just so grateful that I've had her for so long. And I'm grateful to see how God just blessed her in her life, even up until her passing. My grandmother was died. She had a stroke in 2014 after my grandfather passed away, and that led to her dementia. And so she was dealing with dementia for quite some time. And I was able to be there with her. I lived with her for about 6 years. Then my aunt came down from out of town rather, and took on being the primary caregiver. I was still a supplemental caregiver for my grandmother. And on April 30th, she transitioned. And I was right there with her, holding her hand. And as painful as it was just, it was a really good feeling. It was a good feeling because I was able to tell her that I loved her. Um, every time I went over to her house and I would sit with her, I would always share with her. Even though I wasn't sure that she really remembered, but I would share with her different memories about from my childhood with her. So I was telling her about how, our first time making a red velvet cake. I think I was like 10 or 11 years old. It was our first time making a red velvet cake. It was something else. We had a time, but it was good. It turned out really good. Share with her all the times that I spent the night over her house and just different memories that I had. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be there for her as she has been there for me, because my grandmother not only was a matriarch of our family, but she also served as a surrogate mother to me when my mother passed away when I was 15 years old. And my mother was her daughter. So I'm just grateful for that. And so it hit me a little hard. Like at first, I was fine at first. And I don't know, it's just like the fact that she's no longer there. But at the same time, grateful that she's no longer in any type of pain or any suffering. And just knowing that she has gone on to be with the Lord is just even that much more, makes it that much more a blessing. So I wanted to share this because even though it was a blessing, even though I was there with her and things like that, you still grieve. No matter whether you were expecting it or whether you weren't expecting it, grief is grief. Okay? And it's okay to feel that. And that's something I even had to remind myself, that it's okay to feel, that it's okay to be sad. It is okay not to want to laugh all the time. It's okay to just want to be by yourself. The thing about it is, because I've been through grief when I lost my mother, and I was, of course, like I said, I was 15, a lot younger, didn't really understand grief. That was my first time feeling that feeling. So my grief then was a lot different than how I grieved this time. And so the important thing that I had to remind myself this time was, don't allow the grief to consume me. When I mean consume, it's like it stays on me and it's a constant feeling of that grief. Like I don't move through the stages of grief. So I just reminded myself of who my grandmother was, the life that she lived, and the impact that she had on my life. And that allowed me to get through a little quicker, also through much prayer. And I knew that being the person that I am, I knew that I had to be there too for my aunt, her daughter. And even though I had to be there for her, I said to myself, I have to allow myself time to grieve, but I also need to be there for her. I think a lot of times when we go through grief, sometimes we try to still be the strong person for other people, and we don't allow ourselves to feel the feels. So we don't allow ourselves to get upset. We don't allow ourselves to get sad, to be sad. We don't allow ourselves to feel overwhelmed because we're trying to keep it together. But then behind closed doors or at some random moment, you feel it all rushing in. And that's something we kind of have to be mindful of at the time. It's not easy. It's not something that happens or something that you can, it's not something that we just turn on immediately. Sometimes we have to sit back and realize what's happening, right? Again, because I went through this process before, I kind of knew what road I was taking when I was taking it. So at any time I put someone else's feelings ahead of mine, because there was a time within the process that I was trying to be that person for other people as far as support. Did I go to my car? I went on a drive or something. I can't remember what it was, but I did something. I don't remember. And I just allowed myself to cry. And I said, I have to go through this feeling. I have to feel it. And I had to moan, and I had to say that I was hurt. I had to say that I was angry, that I miss her, and all this kind of I had to say it out loud. And as I said it, it was like a relief that was just lifted off of me. So the title of this video, I said, how grief affects menopause. And how it affected me and my menopause was that because we're feeling all of these emotions, a lot of times whatever we're dealing with menopause, for instance, let's say mood swings or insomnia, things like that, it can trigger things. And this can literally be for anybody. So I will say that this isn't just a me thing or a menopause thing. And it actually is anyone. It can happen to anyone at any given moment. Menopause, I say menopause, of course, for the sake of this video, but also because it's, what I want to say, it's a trigger for the symptoms or effects of menopause. So of course my mood, when I was younger, I had bad PMS. I had mood swings out of this world. So me being in menopause, my mood swings are going to be kind of high. So there's that. Emotions. During this time of our lives, I don't know what it is, but of course it's hormonal. But we get a lot more emotional. We'll cry at literally just about anything, okay? You can watch a puppy crossing the street and you're crying. But it's the crying. Also insomnia. Again, it can happen to anyone. But insomnia, if you're already dealing with insomnia like I am, and I was actually getting a handle of it, it got worse. And I must say, even right now, this is what, June, I'm recording this and it is June 15th. And there have been nights, and it's the mind, it's all of that. Um, yeah, I have not slept. There have been nights I haven't slept for like 3 days straight. Or I'll take naps in the middle of the day versus me actually getting a full night's rest. Um, and things like that. So my insomnia is off the charts. So I now have to get myself back into balance. Then we have our eating. Okay, so I had myself on a schedule. I had myself actually on like a really, I was actually doing pretty well with my eating habits and things like that, but it just went completely off. And so which means it's packing on the pounds, right? And we have issues with our weight, right? So weight gain and things like that. As I stated, just in general. So those are just some of the things that really impacted me. And I think whomever this video reaches that is going through grief, and whether you are in menopause or not, it's important to recognize our triggers. First, it's important to feel what we feel and know that it's okay to feel what we feel. Okay? It is okay to feel what you feel. In fact, I want you to feel the feelings. Okay? Allow yourself to feel the feelings, because the more we hold things in, the probability of us blowing up is greater. And you don't want to blow up, especially at the wrong time, and at the wrong person, or even if it was the right person, it could have came out a different way because you're just holding on to feelings that are just building up. So it's okay to feel what you feel. It is okay to not want to do everything. It's okay not to want to go out and things like that. But it's very important for you to know when it's getting to a point of going to a dark space. Okay? I remember I had a lot of dark space moments in my 20s, because I grieved my mom for a very long time. I grieved my mom for a very long period of time. Grief does not have a time limit. Okay? Does not. There's no time limit. What it is that as you grieve, it's important to be aware of yourself and your feelings. And this, a lot of time, well, for the most part, I know that a therapist would be a very good thing to get, because your therapist is that individual who is non-biased. They're going to give you it like it is, and they're going to allow you to process your emotions. For me now, I can process my emotions. Does that mean I don't need a therapist? No. But because I went through dark patterns in the past, I can recognize them. For someone who hasn't, or for someone who is not aware, then they're going to need an extra person to help them get through. I understand you may have friends and all that jazz. That's awesome. But a therapist will help you talk through those emotions and get through. They'll give you that opportunity just to sit. You maybe even have a session where you just sit in their office and just cry. And that's fine, because you have somebody to go to. It's really important too to keep your connection with God. You are going to be angry with God. That's flat out. I'm going to tell you that is flat out, because I had a whole moment with God. A whole moment. It was actually one full, it was 2 nights. I had 2 nights that I had it out with him. Yeah, we can be mad at God. It happens. This is a natural feeling, and he understands that. He knows that. So, therapist, it's important to have that therapist because they're going to help you to process all of those emotions. And it's going to help you to recognize all of your triggers. And it's going to help you to recognize yourself when you are going to certain places in your thoughts and in your minds. Just because you're grieving does not mean you are clinically depressed, does not mean you need to take medication. So I don't want you to be afraid of that either. That's why you're not going to a therapist. Listen, life happens to everyone. Whether you lose your job and you're dealing with depression, you have a divorce and you're dealing with depression, you anything. You lose your pet and you're going through grief. It is what life happens to everyone at different times, at different moments. It can happen all at once, and it can happen multiple people at a time. Because actually, my grandmother's sister, younger sister, who also had dementia, she passed away the week prior to my grandmother. In my head, I said, oh my gosh. When my grandmother passed, I said, you know what? She wasn't going nowhere without her little sister. Them two were peas in a pod. She actually took care of her sister prior to her being put in a nursing home for quite some time. So, yeah. Life happens. We don't know what happens from on a day-to-day basis. You can have an issue at work with your boss, something going on with your children, and you're depressed. You grieve for things in your life. Nothing is don't feel like whatever you're grieving is less than what maybe somebody else is grieving, or what somebody else is going through, because we all have stages of everything that we're going through, no matter what, and we can't sit and think about, oh well, somebody else is going through something else, and this. I know that the common phrase for when things are happening, say it could be a lot worse. And although it could be true, I try not to say that too much to people, because in the moment, they have to feel what they feel. They have to experience what they're experiencing at this time. And it's going to take them time to get to a place when they realize to themselves that, man, this could have been a lot worse. So anyway, I don't want to ramble, but I just want to share that with you. And I also wanted to encourage anyone who is going through grief at this time for whatever reason. It doesn't have to be because you lost a loved one. It could be for some other reason. And you're not sure what to do. You're not sure how to feel, if what you're feeling is appropriate. And I want to say what you're feeling is fine. It is appropriate. You're grieving, and it's okay. And it's okay to feel. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be angry. It's even okay to feel relief. Just don't forget to allow yourself time. Don't forget to look for a therapist, to find a therapist. Don't forget to take care of yourself. I know sometimes we have our moments where we just eat whatever we want and do whatever we want, but go for a walk, go get some sun. There was many times that I had to walk out of the house and just breathe some fresh air. It just felt so good just to breathe fresh air. Breathe your fresh air, go for a walk. Get you some ice cream if you like ice cream. It's okay for the comfort foods. Um, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Just don't consume as much. Don't consume too much because it can affect. Um, take your moments to take a breather. Um, I'll say too. I forgot to mention. Even during this time, my blood pressure went up a little bit, and I had to say, "Oh no, Amelia, calm down." So I had to drink more water because I was drinking a whole lot of sodas. Because when people bring stuff over, they'll bring water, but you drinking the sodas because that's what you craving, right? But just pay attention to your body. Um, take care of yourself. It's okay to support everybody around you. It's okay to be there and to to be there and support, but be a support to yourself. Um, you are important. You are important. And don't forget to pray, even when you don't feel like it. Even when you don't feel like it. God hears everything. Even when you cry, your tears are prayers. Your tears are liquid prayers. He loves you no matter what. No matter what you're going through, He's right there by your side. Sometimes we just don't want to deal. We don't want to hear that. Um we don't want to acknowledge it. But even when you push Him away, He's still there, right? So when you're ready, He's there. So that's all I got. I hope this video encourages someone. It definitely encouraged me because I'm able to share it because I wasn't. So I'm just grateful for this time. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for this channel. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to share my journey. I'm able to even encourage someone, even if it's just one person. I'm able to do that. So until next time, ladies, be blessed, bold, and beautiful. Bye.